We're looking at Boomer. This is Boomer. He's got the biggest mouth of them all. He's the whale shark. Say hello to that round mound of pound and his power slam. Very deadly. Oh. He loves to tenderize the competition before he eats him. Then we've got Sledge the Hammerhead.
Yes, this is Vin Diesel in 1994 showing off the hot toy franchise of those next few years, the Street Sharks. Street Sharks came during the peak popularity of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which saw several toys/cartoon franchises attempting to recycle and reuse similar aspects and ideas from TMNT for that sweet toy and merchandise money. This turtle boom spawned just some of the following franchises: the Biker Mice from Mars, Wild West Cowboys of Moo Mesa, Stone Protectors, Avenger Penguins, Battletoads, and Bucky O'Hare and the Toad Wars, just to name a few. Of all the knockoffs and rip-outs out there, Street Sharks still has a strong following that exists despite no new plans or developments for the franchise. Like the toys, the franchise sits in dust within the perpetual state of unknown, but known by people who maybe saw the show a few times, have the VHS tapes, or even maybe have seen the toys at their local garage sale. However, the fans live and breathe the merchandise they own and come from all walks of life, and even from different parts of the world. We may have forgotten, but they did not. Time to shark dive. On one of my previous episodes on the fans of Small Soldiers, the idea for that movie came before the toys were even molded, boxed up, and shipped off to stores. Street Sharks is a little different and started with the toys before a show was ever written for it. Dan Edward, whom I consider one of the more prominent fans on Street Sharks, is one of the better sources of information considering he was able to interview the Shark Father himself, Joe Galliani. But the story of Street Sharks is unfortunately as simple as it gets. But Edward's interview with Galliani is a testament on how willing fans are when it comes to looking for answers on something they truly cherish. In this case, Edward was able to meet the creator himself and ask all his questions that his childhood self probably wanted to ask for years. I was happy that I acquired knowledge for the toy community and that I'm now able to release it into the ethos. I, the collector, the spectator, reached out into the world and found a creator and solved some mysteries of my favorite toy line. Dan Edwards' article interview with Joe Galliani. In another article for Mental Floss by Jake Rossen, Galliani detailed what he considered the easiest pitch for a toy he had ever done, as well as really understanding what boys wanted, after noticing that shark books were on a waiting list at his library. Putting two and two together, the Street Sharks were born. But what made the toys different and memorable for fans? Bigger, badder, and dominated your other toys. Kinda like Godzilla, but they ate burgers. Biker Mice were small. Another fan from Mexico, Dannte Ladt, added to that sentiment. I love them. They were rude, threatening, and way bigger than the TMNT. Not only did Galliani bring the toys to children all over the world, he also provided some of the material and scripts for 3 seasons of its cartoon show, penning the phrases Jawsome and Fintastic, which are still uttered by fans today. The cartoon pitted 4 brothers, Jap, Streaks, Big Slamu, and Ribster, who have been gene-slammed into sharks by the nefarious Dr. Paradigm, who plans to use his legion of Seviots to rule Fission City, and eventually the world. As familiar as it sounds and looks to the Turtles, fans will be quick to let you know that the cartoon was as memorable as the toys. Reddit user AttackJacks, who is honored to have the Street Sharks permanently on his right thigh, had a positive recollection of the show. I just remember watching it as part of the Saturday morning lineup in the 90s. I was immediately captivated due to my childhood obsession with all things aquatic. Ladd also had some cartilage thoughts on the show. When I was a kid, I saw the Street Shark show on TV, and I was fascinated. I already liked Ninja Turtles, but this was on another level. Humanoid sharks that swim on the asphalt, it just blew my mind when I saw them. Planet Rob, a fellow cartoon-watching YouTuber, even could admit that despite the similarities and his hard ribbing of the show, he found some positive things to say. I like how they handled the villain and how he kept himself a public figure who constantly turned the media against the sharks. It was one of the better aspects of the show, in my opinion. But seeing this passion, let's get deeper into the love with the fans down under, up above, and in between. And collectors are aplenty. We have the Street Sharks Jawsome group, which has more than 700 members, consisting of a majority of fans from the United States, Mexico, Australia, and other countries. However, there's also the Street Sharks Collectors Australia group, consisting of more than 400 members who likely share members from the Jawsome group, as well as members hailing from other European countries, and of course, Australian shark fans. As for the Street Sharks Escualos Collectors, they stand at about 100 members and are for the Spanish-speaking members of Latin America. I was lucky enough to speak with Gavin Thomson and Beven Davey, admins of the Street Sharks Collectors Australia group, who were able to provide me a warm Aussie welcome and answered my questions about the history of their shark group. Honestly, I inherited the group from someone else. I had one figure I picked from a market, joined the group to learn more. Woke up one morning and was the admin of basically a dead group. After injecting some new people into the group, designing a new banner, placing in a new admin, the group really took off from there. It's been a real pleasure assisting in creating the standout environment. Street Sharks Collectors Australia was introduced to me by Beven Davey. I enjoyed the group years ago looking for other collectors to trade with. After a while of being heavily involved in the group, he eventually asked me to participate as an admin. Action figure collecting can be a lonely hobby. Not everybody gets it. It's not like you can take your new Street Shark in the office for show and tell. So sharing your latest find with other members definitely keeps it interesting. Interviewing international fans for the first time in my series, it was only natural to get insight on why series like Street Sharks may have been popular in their region. Street Sharks are worth collecting to me because I love the thrill of the chase, and here in Australia, it's fairly obtainable series to collect. They can still be found in markets and thrift stores. Street Sharks was huge in Australia. Pizza Hut helped promote them with a series of cup toppers and coloring in books. Kids went crazy for the action figures and other merchandise. I read somewhere that Mattel delivered significantly more of the last Series 6 Space Force Street Shark figures to Australia than anywhere else in the world, including the United States. One of the bigger fish, the Mexico-based collectors group, have also seen a wider appeal with Street Sharks merchandise and toys, as Edward mentions. I think they are equally as popular in all countries, more popular in Mexico, but not as popular as He-Man or Turtles or many other lines. Mexico also has a ton more cheap knockoffs. Ocean Warriors, Mighty Sharks, Chapmae Sharks. And with such international collectors came many tales of overseas trading. One that was happily told by Thomson. I recently bought an original Mattel shipping carton from the USA. It was used to ship Street Sharks to toy stores. The seller wouldn't arrange shipping to Australia, so a friend of mine in the States, Daniel, who I knew through collecting sharks, drove over an hour to pick it up for me and shipped it to Australia. Unbelievable. That's why I love collecting Street Sharks. Aside from Ladt, I was unable to get any more people from the Latin American fanbase to speak with, but perhaps the language barriers can make collecting and sharing with like-minded fans difficult. That appears to be the case according to Edward. There's maybe a few hundred of us that speak English and actually collect. Street Sharks are really big in Mexico, but the language thing stops it from being a huge connection and shared fandom. Thankfully, with things like Google Translation and other means of communication, the pictures of delivered sharks from one country to the other speak volumes to the love that these fans share together. With the cartoon airing 3 seasons from 1994 to 1997 and the oversaturated market of 2 cool gangs of anthropomorphic animals, the reign of Street Sharks would be at an end. And I guess the thought was, what did kids like just as much as sharks? Dinosaurs. The Dinavengers aired in 1997 alongside its toy line in 1996. Prior to having their own franchise, the Dinavengers would appear in episodes with the Street Sharks and vice versa, with the Sharks making cameo appearances in their TV show. Perhaps market research suggested a shifting tides between marine mammals and dinosaurs. Maybe the creators thought they could captivate a whole new generation on the coattails of Jurassic Park's cinematic success. I imagine the decision was made to give the Dino boost riding on the popularity of the Sharks. That and seeing both of them on screen going off on adventures together in the same universe was a business decision to sell more toys. But like all good things, Street Sharks came to an end and did not have a legacy that stood the test of the time. While TMNT, Transformers, He-Man, G.I. Joe kept going, even getting their own Hollywood treatment through some form or the other. But I did not think this bothered fans too much. They either accept Street Sharks for what it was, or ignore the countless articles flagging it as nothing more than a ripoff. It's a straight-up ripoff of TMNT. No doubt. But I'm fine with that. Personally, I cringe whenever people compare Street Sharks to TMNT. They're two totally different cartoons with very different toy lines. TMNT is a classic. Nothing will ever compare to it. Yeah, same human/animal hybrid concept, I guess, but Street Sharks set out to take things a few steps further. Yes, it was short-lived, but it certainly hasn't been forgotten. And that speaks volumes to the international collectors and fans who keep Street Sharks alive. And even with such a short run on toys, merchandise, and as a cartoon series, there are still new things yet to be discovered. We keep finding new stuff. We found some talking cards in Spain we didn't know about, some coins from a Spanish cookie giveaway. Also, some weird prototypes keep turning up without provenance. Part of the fun of this line is new mysteries and new things keep turning up. In short, Thomson puts in better words than I ever could of why Street Sharks are still Jawsome. I think what makes them still worth collecting is that Street Shark collectors are part of a very small community. It's definitely not as crazy or competitive as collecting never-ending lines like Star Wars. Street Sharks had their run. What's out there is out there. It's incredible what still manages to turn up after all these years. Most series collectors know each other. I've made close friends all across the world through collecting Street Sharks, some from countries that I've never been to. The Street Sharks community is definitely why I'm still so hungry to collect them. I love seeing what everyone else has found and seeing their displays grow and grow.
Some say they're just no good. Half shark, half man, fighting evil, that's the plan. Sharks! Street Sharks! Street Sharks! ¡Wow! ¡Tiburones! Aquí están, contra el mal deben pelear. Aquí están, siempre prestos a luchar. Street Sharks! Street Sharks! Street Sharks! Street Sharks! In peace, each night, für das gute Zeit bereit! Street Sharks!
First, I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in the making of this video. A big shout out to all fans of every Street Sharks Facebook group. You've contributed all of your love and passion that made all of this possible. Additionally, I'm happy to announce that with every subscriber, viewer, and piece of coverage for this channel, I thought it would be a great idea to begin a line of shirts for fellow forgotten fans. Starting with the limited supply run on this Street Sharks t-shirt, we wanted to test the waters with a short supply that is bound to be a new collector's item for veteran Sharks and maybe bring about some new fans. Link is in the description below. Shirts are $25 plus shipping. If successful, we might continue our t-shirt line based on the franchises we have spoken about in the past, as well as future episodes. Thank you again, everyone, and remember, they may have forgotten, but you did not.